What Europe owes Spain. The Hispanic world needs history therapy to recover stolen self-esteem. It's often said that the idea of Western European construction was born when Charlemagne succeeded in getting a united church to fight back in territories, something that would grow with the Crusades. But this Franco-German thesis forgets that it was the countries of Southern Europe, Greece, Italy, Spain, and Portugal, that created the political, moral, and philosophical framework on which Europe would later be built, and that allowed it to predominate by land and sea, and not by other competing regions. There exists immense contempt for Spain's decisive contribution to the construction of Europe. It's also forgotten that these other nations opposed the Universitas Cristiana of Charles I or V. For the historian Felipe Fernández Armesto, it was in 1492 that modernity was born. That date keeps alive a Europe that was in serious danger of disappearing or being conquered by others, more powerful forces. By the end of the 15th century, the Asian continent had everything to achieve world hegemony. Before that, Europe was a despised, held back, and ignored place, and the Eastern Roman Empire had been conquered by the Ottomans, while India, Islam, China, and the rest of East Asia surpassed it in riches, art, and inventiveness. And what would have happened to Christianity? Well, it would have remained a minority religion, and almost irrelevant compared to Islam or Eastern religions. A small example of how much Rome owes Hispanic contributions. It was not until 1492 that one single world and one single human species could begin to be properly defined. Such an event will only be surpassed if other pioneers find intelligent life on an unknown planet. But it is not the only important thing that Europe owes Spain. It was Saint Isidore of Seville who produced one of the first compilations of Western knowledge, most widely used outside of Spanish borders. And it was Alfonso X, the Wise, who saw to it that Europe recovered the Greek knowledge lost from Arabian collections. It was these Latin texts that the rest of Europeans would study. And what would happen if Arab domination had continued beyond the Pyrenees, or if Lepanto had been lost? All this has been forgotten in order to create a fictional Europe built without Spain, a process of cancellation of the Spanish 16th century, where the School of Salamanca headed a network of universities that modernized Western thought. It's outstanding. France boasts of having Descartes as the founder of rational and modern thought, concealing the fact that his work is tributary to Suarez's metaphysical disputations, the most influential philosophical work of the time, and that it draws from the influence of Gómez Pereira. Something similar would happen with Spinoza, of Sephardic origin, who owes a lot to Francisco de Suarez. As he himself even admitted, England is credited with Francis Bacon as the founder of empirical scientific thought, ignoring the fact that Garcia de Céspedes had preceded him with his navigation regiment. In a similar way, we must ignore that it was Domingo de Soto who influenced Galileo and Newton, and also it's Vittoria's conception of the tortus orbis, or the whole orb, derives the theoretical support of what would later become international law, declarations of human rights, or the UN itself. Something this gigantic and revolutionary could not be the work of Hispanic Catholics. There were many examples, such as the substitution of the neo-scholastic right reasoning or the reason of state of the Peace of Westphalia in 1648. This is not a Spaniard chauvinism, but a confirmation of a reigning Hispanophobic climate where guilt-tripping has not allowed us to see the ocean of our real contributions for Europe and the West. Between 2015 and 2017, the Pew Research Center conducted a survey in 34 European countries. The country that showed the lowest collective self-esteem was Spain, lower than, for example, Estonia. This is not trivial because our individual self-esteem is related to the collective self-esteem of the group to which we belong, whether we like it or not. It therefore affects the health of people, the functioning of institutions, and even the economy. The Hispanic world needs to do history therapy to recover stolen self-esteem. If France or England had discovered America in 1492, would they have allowed the Holy Roman Empire to survive as a reputable label, or would they have replaced it with the Holy Roman Frankish or British Empire? Article by Alberto Gil Ibáñez is the author of the book El Sacro Imperio Romano Hispánico.